A day spent in Tableau is a good day. I know that not everyone in their job gets to spend like all of their time building stuff in Tableau, but I love it. All right, next up, we're going to create a dual axis time element. So first thing I need is a time element. So again, I'm going to right click on my order date, drag it up to columns. Right click on order date, drag it to columns. I'm going to choose my month of order date. My continuous month of order date should be green. I wish these colors were a little easier to tell apart. If you want to double check that you got it right click on your order date and make sure that you've got the second month of order date selected right here. Okay? What am I using to draw all over my screen? It's a tool called Zoom It. It's free. Pretty cool. Zoom It, yeah. All right, so I've got my continuous month of order date on my column shelf. Next up, I'm going to take sales to rows. Remember our combined axis chart? If I want two things to fit on the same axis, I can drag it and get it to share that axis. But if I took a measure like profit ratio to that axis, don't do this. It just gives me a flat line across the bottom because the scales are so different. So a dual axis chart type is useful for when we're comparing apples to oranges or dissimilar things. Or when we want one axis to be labeled as a currency and the other axis to be labeled as a percentage. I'm being a little bit lazy and not changing the formatting on everything. All right, so I'm going to undo that. Now I've just got sales. There are two ways to turn this into a dual axis chart. One way is I can take my profit ratio or gross profit ratio, either one, and I can drag it all the way over to the far side of my chart. Remember, for our combined axis chart, we dropped it onto this axis that we wanted it to share. For a dual axis, we want to create a whole new axis, drag it and drop it onto this far side, and that way it will create a whole new axis for us. The other way to do that is we can, same thing with our dual axis map, we could drag it and drop it up here onto our row shelf. And then we would have to do one more step that way, turning it, right-clicking it, and turning it into a dual axis. We'll do it the simple way. Drag profit ratio all the way over to this far axis, and we created our dual axis chart. All right, next up. Remember how we get these multiple mark cards now? We have one for sales and one for profit ratio. So I'm going to click on my sales mark, change my mark type from the automatic line to a bar. Then I'll leave my profit ratio as a line. Now we see our sales as it relates to profit ratio. This might look cooler with real data. We can change our colors again. Or maybe I want to leave my profit ratio as purple. Alright, that's how we create a dual axis chart type. If I wanted profit instead of profit ratio and I want to swap those out, you don't have to do this step. I can take profit up to where profit ratio is and it will apply that in the same way. So drag profit up to where profit ratio is, and there we have a dual axis chart. If I've got kind of similar items, I can then right click on my profit axis and synchronize that axis with the sales axis. So I'd right click it, go to synchronize axis, and now I have my sales and my profit being shown on the exact same axis. If that's the case, if they're just the same axis, I might not even want to show the profit axis. I might want to right click it, uncheck the box for show header. You don't have to do all these steps. Right click the other axis, remove the title. Then I might include my legend somewhere on the dashboard.
How would you include your legend on the dashboard?
When you drag it on, it shows up with the legends. You can move it around. Yeah.
So you just hid that axis, and now what if you at some point want to come back and find it?
Yeah, I checked the box. I unchecked the box for show header.
Right.
That axis was created by this profit measure. Right click on profit, go to show header, that'll bring it back. Yeah, there's some of those little tricky things that Tableau kind of hides from us. One thing that everyone does in Tableau at some point is you're going to click on this little up and down arrow thing and collapse your data window and wonder where it went. Let's all do that right now so we know. Click on that. Where does it disappear to? Who's done that before and been confused?
I did at the beginning of your tutorial.
Yeah. Luckily somebody around was able to help. Maybe?
No, I restarted it.
Yeah, if you close Tableau, that'll fix it. There's an easier way to fix it. It takes it down to this data button in the bottom left. I know, boo. Tableau's not perfect. There's plenty of things that they need to fix. That's probably one of them. Why do they put that up in a commonly clicked area is beyond me. All right, click it again, that'll bring it back.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How do you show values on the particular bar?
We've got a label mark. So if you want to show the values for your sales, make sure you have your sales mark selected. You can drag sales to label. Looks kind of ugly, you might want to format it. But another way is you've got this label button. It's a little bit less predictable. You can click on that ABC. That'll show all the labels. You can tell it to show like the max and minimum numbers as labels only. Different things. All right. Let's do one more and then let's do some dashboarding. Okay. I'm going to call this dual axis. You guys doing okay? Keeping up somewhat? Those of you that want to?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moving on. 15 more minutes. Okay. Open up a new sheet. We're going to, gosh, I hate to build this with you guys just because Tableau is awesome for creating beautiful charts and beautiful stuff. But sometimes people do ask for like a text table and they're like, I just want to see the details. And even worse, I get clients that give me a spreadsheet in Excel and they're like, I want you to make this in Tableau. And I'm like, that's not what Tableau does. I can do it. And I got paid a lot of money to do that for that client. That's the only reason I did. But my company did anyway. Sometimes you just do what people ask you to do. But hopefully we can avoid building text tables as much as possible. There are better ways to visualize our data. But if we have to, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to click on item from my product hierarchy. Find item. Drag it to rows. Next up, I'm going to take sales, drag it to text. Okay? I took sales up here to text. I could have also dropped it here where it said ABC. It was waiting for me to drop something there. All right, next up, I need to engage measure names and measure values. And I'm going to do that by taking profit and dropping it precisely on top of the text that was created by our sales. So take profit, drop it right on that text. That's the only place it's going to work unless you want to like create a bunch of filters and do some crazy stuff. Okay? Take profit, drop it on top of that text that was created by sales. This is one of the least intuitive things about Tableau. Typically it's a very intuitive software. This is one of those things we just got to remember. If we want to create a crosstab with multiple measures, we have to take that second measure and drop it onto the text. Just got to remember. All right, now I'm going to take my gross profit ratio, drop it there too. Or I could drop it here now actually, but either place.
You do the same thing by double clicking, right?
Once you have it, not with that second measure, but with the third one. Yeah, double clicking is dangerous. It's something Tableau will do what it feels like doing when we double click on something.
Feeling lucky.
Yeah, it'll like guess. Show me is dangerous too. We've got the show me button. It's gonna try and guess where we want everything, and it might be completely wrong. That's why I use show me for a few things, not for most things. All right, so we've got our gross profit ratio on here.
Question for you?
Sure.
If we drag profit ratio, it shows 0. It seems like it needs to be formatted to be.
Yeah. You can change the default formatting. My data already have that formatted. If you want to change that, after you've dragged it on, you can right click on profit ratio and go to format, change the number format to a percentage, and I typically just do 1 decimal place. Got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. If you want to change it so that every time you drag it on there, you can change the default properties of any of these fields. Maybe I want to right click on profit ratio, go to default properties, number format, percentage. Maybe I always want it to show up as a percentage with 1 decimal place. That'll do that. All right, moving on. Let's do one more. Let's take discount on here too. Drag discount to our view or drag it underneath profit ratio on measure values. That one's already formatted for me. You guys might need to format that in your data set.